guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and this is the T-Mobile Comet. It's a low-end Android device with some pretty basic specs. It has a 2.8-inch touchscreen display, a 3-megapixel camera. It also ships with swipe, and it has a 528 megahertz processor, if you can imagine that. So is it worth getting? It's free, but is it still worth looking at since there are some other low-end options on T-Mobile? Well, that's what we're going to discuss in the review of the T-Mobile Comet from T-Mobile, obviously. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. Let's go check it out. So this is the T-Mobile Comet, and it's a pretty small device. Just starting off with the physical design, it's only about 4 inches by 2 inches. So definitely a small design, and then it's about ½ an inch thick. And then this screen here is only 2.8 inches. So overall, everything about it is pretty small, very handheld, which translates into, again, the screen being small. So, web browsing, and then the keyboard is just tiny on it. But, it's still a very solid device, still feels pretty sturdy. Then you have your standard Android buttons: back, menu, home, and then search. These two buttons are, obviously for talk, send, and then end. The power button is up here. And then this is sort of like a D-pad. The silver part is you use for navigating, so it's right, left, up, and then down. And then the center button is the selection button. So it kind of took me a while to figure that out, but anyway, that's how it works. And then you do have a camera on the back. So this is sort of, a weird design because it takes up a pretty large part of the phone itself. Don't really know if it's entirely necessary because it is a touchscreen, and it's a capacitive touchscreen, and it's pretty good. So, I don't really think you need this, and it would have been nice to have a larger display. But again, it may come in handy just because it is so small. Maybe for selecting certain things, it may be easier to have the D-pad, but for me, it wasn't really necessary. So back to the main display. Again, it's a 2.8-inch capacitive touchscreen display. Pretty basic. It has a resolution of 240 by 300, so really nothing special. And whenever you get pretty close to the display, you can see that the text is kind of pixelated. We'll go to the menu. You can see more of it. So it's not very smooth, a little rough around the edges. The pictures, not the best quality. That might not be a big deal to you, if you're looking for something that, has an amazing display and looks great. Obviously the Comet is a low-end device, and so the resolution isn't very impressive. It supports up to 262,000 colors. So it's okay, not the best, but again, it's a low-end device. So it ships with Android 2.2, which means you have your 6 home screens here, actually 5 home screens, and then you have the dock at the bottom for your phone, web browsing, and then the menu. Overall, speeds are okay on the device. It has a 528 megahertz Qualcomm processor, so definitely it's not the zippiest thing. But I didn't really notice too much of a lag when just doing basic things like scrolling through the home screens, going to the menu, going to different apps. Whenever I'm in an app, it performs pretty well, so it's not too bad. There wasn't a lot of lag. You can see it took, a couple extra seconds to load. But one thing when it did become a problem, the speed, was if I had multiple applications open. So if I went to the web browser, and then while I was browsing, I decided to go to movies or maybe Twidroid, or do something else. Whenever I had multiple applications running, that's when the speed really became a problem. And so if you're going to get this device, I would recommend downloading some sort of task manager. So you can see I've downloaded Advanced Task Killer. It's a free app in the market, but it will help you to better manage the apps that are open so that speeds will probably be better. So I have all of these open. I can just kill them all, and it will definitely improve the speed of the device. So again, it wasn't too bad, but whenever I was doing several things at one time, that's when it really started slowing down and started becoming a problem. But really, I was pretty impressed compared to other low-end devices that have the 500 megahertz or the 600 megahertz processor. It was better than what I've seen from those. So if we go to the web browser, it does support Wi-Fi and also 3G. And if we type in a site, you'll notice that it comes pre-installed with Swipe, which is really nice because because the screen is so small, the keyboard is just tiny. So if I were to go to the, you can also use just the default Android keyboard, but you can see it's pretty tiny. And then again, you can see more of the speed there. There's a little bit of a lag, but it's really not as bad as you would think it would be. But it is going to take just about 1 extra second to get to it. Anyway, so you can see the keyboard is just tiny, and trying to type on it is going to be very difficult. It seems like the keyboard itself isn't too small, but whenever you get to the actual keys themselves and pressing them, it is pretty small. So it's nice that it comes with swipe. So if you have larger hands, or maybe it's just more comfortable, you can use that. .com. So we'll go to Phone Dog. I don't believe I'm on Wi-Fi right now, so this won't be a really a speed test. But speeds again are going to just depend on coverage in your area. And where I'm at right now filming this, I have not very good coverage for T-Mobile, so it may take a little longer. But we'll go to the web browser, we'll load up a page, and then I'll show you the zoom. Now it does have a capacitive touchscreen, like I said, but it doesn't support multi-touch. So if we go down here, if you want to zoom in, you can't really use multi-touch. So you have to use the zoom bar that's given to you. And then again, when you do more web browsing, you'll notice the low resolution on the screen. So the text again is sort of pixelated, and then the pictures are just kind of rough. So again, not a big deal, but you'll notice it more the more text there is on a page. So you can just use the zoom bar to zoom in and out. Not too big of a deal. And then you can use this, which here is where it comes in pretty handy. Still not entirely necessary, but it is there if you want to use it. So let's take a look at the camera. It has a 3.2 megapixel camera. Nothing really special in terms of specs. This is not a flash, it's just the speaker grill. It looks like a flash, but it's misleading. So it's a 3.2 megapixel camera. So picture quality was pretty standard, nothing very impressive, but it was good enough for basic snapshots.